So the year is 1952, and we have a young lieutenant named Jimmy Carter standing in front of Admiral Hyman Rickover. And if you're not familiar with Hyman Rickover, this guy is a legend in the submarine field, and he was really looking for young leaders that he could bring up in the space, and Jimmy Carter was applying for one of the coveted spots. And this is probably the most intense grilling Jimmy Carter had ever gone through in his life. The question then comes up, how did you graduate in your class at Annapolis? He had gone to the Naval Academy, Jimmy Carter. He proudly puts out his chest and says 59 out of 820, which if you're familiar with the Naval Academy, that is a great standing. Hyman then looked at him again and said, did you do your best? Now, this is actually where it fell apart for the young Lieutenant Carter, because at first he was going to say, well, of course I did. But then he actually thought about times back that he did take it easy, that he didn't put everything out there. And he had to answer with the honest answer, which is no, he hadn't always tried his best. And then Admiral Rickover looked at him for a while and then answered back, why not? And Jimmy Carter did not have an answer for that question. Now, that young lieutenant did not get the position. And at the time, it was devastating for Carter. But, he recovered. He actually got out of the Navy within a year and a half, had an, honorable discharge, been in 7 years, and he went on to become the president of the United States. But that question that Admiral Rickover asked him, did you give your best? Did you try your hardest? Stuck with him for the rest of his life. And it was something that he would apply again and again whenever he would go out and try to get something done. He would go after a goal. He would try to accomplish something. Now, the point of that story, as you can probably figure out, is I'm asking you the question. Did you give it your all? Did you try your best this last year? I know the answer for me is no. There were many instances in which I honestly went, as my stepdad used to say, half-ass. I could have done this better, especially when it comes to taking care of my body, many areas in my business. So how can we reverse that trend? How can we set up this next year so that you crush it, so that you're able to achieve your goals, so that you're able to become the man you know yourself to be? Well, gents, that's the subject of today's video, how to organize and reset your life. Let's do this. So the first step in having a great year is to have a theme, have a direction. Know where you're going or you're going to wind up somewhere else. Stole that from Yogi Berra, the great baseball player, and it's so true because there's so many things hitting you throughout the year, throughout the day even. You can get off track, like walking around aimlessly in the desert or in a forest. You're going to walk circles. Human beings just tend to do this. And you're going to go nowhere if you're walking circles, versus if you have your bearing, if you have a compass that's giving you an orientation, an idea, and you can identify what your true north is going to be. I know, again, my theme for this year, going back to that first point, is all about trying my best, putting forth my best effort, because I didn't do it last year. Now, trying my best, I know, pretty general. And that takes me to my next point, is breaking out the values within that theme. For me this year, and I even built a coin out for it, specifically, it's going to be wisdom, strength, passion, and curiosity. Those are the 4 areas in my life that I feel if I put more effort there, if I focus in on these, again, each of these giving me a direction, I'm going to be able to accomplish more in life. And guys, if you like that, let me know. Let me some great comments what you are going to be focused on this year, what your values are. And I may actually send some of you guys some of these coins. I had quite a few made. I like having a reminder like this, something that reminds me, you know what? I need to work on every single day, being smarter, not just smarter, but wise, taking past experience, my experience, the experience of others, reading about the experiences of others, learning from others, working on my masterminds, working on my relationships so that I can, pull from that wisdom and make the right decision and know when I've made the wrong decision and I need to change course. Strength, physical strength. Yes, I do want to spend more time in the gym. I want to work on my endurance. I want to go out running more. I want to find different ways to be able to exercise. But also the strength, that comes with, fortitude right there. Knowing that, okay, I want to keep applying and working on something and be able to better deal with failures, because I've had quite a few over the last few years. Passion Passion is the energy. It's the love. It's the way that you approach something. Passionately being able to deal with obstacles. Obstacles constantly get in your way, and to say, you know what, this isn't an obstacle. This is an opportunity for me to show what I've got, the passion I want to have with my family, with my relationships, with my wife, with my kids. Curiosity. This one perhaps is my favorite because it's not something a lot of guys think, I don't necessarily need to be curious, but I think it is so important that you find things that you're just genuinely interested and want to learn more about, and you pursue those and you go after that. I know in my business, I've got paid traffic is a great area that I don't know much about. I'm pretty good with creating organic content. I just simply want to better understand it. So make sure you've got those areas. You've identified your theme and you've identified the values that make up that theme, and you've got that set. Because if you've got a direction on where you're going with this year, you're more likely to end up in that place. The next step to having my best year ever is I am scheduling everything, especially my personal events, the times I want to be spending with my family. So we just went to Lake Elkhart here in Wisconsin. It's got this big Christmas festival, and we had put it on the schedule, my wife and I, about 2 months out. And what I love about that is everyone was so excited about that, looking forward to it. Point being is I scheduled this event with my family because one of my goals is to be a better family man, to be more present with my kids. I've also set up, times with my son. We actually are going to be heading out to Minneapolis for a cooking class. You notice how when you have something scheduled, you look forward to it, and most likely you don't cancel on it. Sometimes, hey, life gets in the way. I was noticing that I had all of these meetings scheduled in my calendar, and of course I'm there for them. But guess who I'm late for? I'm late oftentimes at home for dinner. I was neglecting my family, and I realized, you know what? I got to make sure to schedule all those personal times. So Friday fun days, that's basically Friday family days. And it's not just, with my family. In the mornings on Fridays, I've actually set it up so I'm going to the shooting range personally. Yes, having a lot of fun. And I love it because it gets my mind off my business. Now, I do give up my Sunday afternoons because that's when I'm planning and I'm preparing for my business. Again, I've got these times set and scheduled in my calendar. Do I stick with them all the time? No. But you know what? By having them in there, 80% of the time, I do stick with them. And don't think things have to be perfect. So many times we don't do something because it's like, it's just not going to be perfect. I'm only going to be 60% there, 70% there. That is more than enough. Excellence is just simply putting in that effort consistently, working on getting that 1% better every single day. If you just got 1% better every day for a year, that's a 37 times increase over the period of a year. That's what we're shooting for. It's just that 1% better in you better controlling your time, spending more time where you want to spend. And if you don't have a family, well, guess what? Can you set that time again for yourself? Can you actually set aside time in which you're turning your phone off? You are unplugging. Next up, let's talk about the importance of your environment. So one of the reasons I wasn't as productive, I think, this last year is that I didn't really want to come to the office. I didn't have coffee in here. I had my office in this little back room with no windows, and I changed things up. My wife actually helped me with this. My wife volunteered to come here to the office and help me set it up. So it's much more pleasant. I now have a very nice coffee machine, and I have great coffee, which is a great, reason to want to come to the office when you got better coffee here than you do at your house. In addition, look at, behind me, you see we've got that YouTube button there, another YouTube button there. Why do you want to hang these things up? Well, go, look at any successful football team, any successful sports team around the world. What do they have? They got their trophies up there. They have, the retired jerseys. These are reminders of greatness. And you've probably achieved some things. Yeah, maybe it was back in high school. Maybe it was your Eagle Scout. Find that and maybe get it made, put it into a shadow box. Maybe get it framed up. Put it on your wall. Have a reminder. For me, even artwork like this from my friend Sam Shooter. I love her stuff and it inspires me. And now having these pieces up in my office, and I have a few more I need to hang, it's inspiring. It reminds me of why I do what I do. And speaking of inspiration, guys, have you seen my project over at Mission Fragrances? So imagine that you could wear a fragrance that would inspire you to become more honorable, more courageous, more committed to your goals. Guys, you don't have to imagine it. We have built it over at Mission Fragrances. So how does all this work? Well, gents, in case you didn't know, your sense of smell is one of your most primal senses. In fact, of all your senses, this is the one that's directly connected to the brain via your olfactory system, and it's something that can trigger memories, it can trigger emotions, it can trigger responses that you can condition yourself to feel a certain way when you smell, and you condition yourself to unique scents. Now, gents, if this sounds at all interesting, you want to go over to the Mission Fragrances website, which I linked to down in the description. For the next few days, these sets are available. After that, I'm going to close it down for a month. We do these launches. Why? Because I run a course. I teach people how to use this. I want to make sure you get individual attention, so we don't sell these all the time. So go over to the Mission Fragrances website. Again, I'm linking to it down in the description. You're going to get this beautiful set. We've got a course that goes with this. This, again, these scent triggers, very unique and a great way if you want to find, something that's different, something that's going to help you be able to accomplish your goals this year. You need to check out what we're doing at Mission Fragrances. Now, getting back to scheduling, I know an objection a lot of us have, including me, is that yes, I schedule it, but I don't do it. I don't hold myself accountable. Well, find a way to maybe get an accountability buddy. This is something I know in the gym is something I am looking for. I just know that having a person that if I don't show up and they're there and I'm going to let down, maybe it's just human nature, but it seems like many times that we are going to let ourselves down before we let other people down. And that's why having an accountability partner is so key. Now, you can go out and hire one. I know I hire business coaches all the time. Even the most disciplined people do need other people. They need systems that they put themselves in to help hold themselves to that higher standard. Now, the problem with coaches, the problem with a lot of classes is that they do cost money. Well, have you ever considered a mastermind? Yes, there are paid masterminds, but one thing I do is I simply run my own masterminds. I've set up a couple recently that focus on the Shopify platform because I have now a few Shopify stores and I want to grow them. So I simply brought in people smarter than me, and I was part of a Facebook group with a lot of Shopify owners, and I threw it out there and said, hey, I had to interview all these people. It was work, but I'm just loving this because every Thursday I'm in these two masterminds with other business owners just like me who are running Shopify stores. And for an hour, we share ideas. We hold each other accountable to doing what we say we're going to do. And that small group right there, just getting so much value. The objection so many people have is I don't have the money for it. Well, then make the time for it and set it up and run it yourself. Now, gents, if you're enjoying today's video, I would appreciate it if you'd feed the algorithm and smash that like button. Seriously, when you guys interact with these videos, they reach more men. And this is a really important video I think a lot of guys need to see so that they can have a great year. Now let's talk about measurement. You've probably heard the saying, what gets measured gets improved. I agree with that. But I think a lot of times as guys, we are measuring the wrong things in our lives. We're measuring that end goal. Yeah, you want to be able to bench 250 pounds. And if you don't get to that goal, somehow you are a failure. Don't set it up like that. In business, we have what are called lead and lag indicators. Lag indicators, this is going to be sales. This is going to be that, it matters a lot in business, but it is something that you can't fully control sales. But what you can't control are lead indicators. How many phone calls you make that day, how many people you reach out to, follow up with, try to close those sales. When you're looking at your life, you're looking at the goals that you're going after this year. Focus in on more measurement of the lead indicators. This is falling in love with the process. So going to the gym. Well, it's about measure that, actually showing up to the gym, putting in and doing the reps, doing the workout, not necessarily that end goal, because you can't control, an injury. You can't control necessarily the weather, but what you can do is, okay, I didn't get to the gym today, but even though there was snow on the ground, I threw on, my running shoes and I just went for a jog back, in the back of the house, up and down that hill, was falling over the place. I went out and played with the kids. I was active, but you get started with that process. And that's what you want to be measuring, is getting started and falling in love with the process, because then your end goals are going to fall into place. Now, this one I could have mentioned a lot sooner, but a lot of guys feel this is all woo-woo, and that is mindset. We know that mindset is incredibly important. We pay lip service to it, though, and not many of us really give it its due. So what are you thinking about first thing in the morning? Most of us are checking our email. We're getting busy with, maybe we're waking up late. How about you start your day with a mantra? How about you start it with a saying with something that's going to get your mind going in the right direction. And I'm guilty of not doing this well. One of the ways I've solved this is I actually have an alarm that starts with a mantra. So when I wake up, my alarm clock is saying something to me, which I can repeat back and I can say multiple times that morning. That's a reminder of what I want to be thinking on. One of my favorite mantras, my alarm says, Tony, is it one day or day one? Seriously, I think it was like 2 years ago. I was in Atlanta hanging out with Aaron Marino, and he said that, and I'm sure like he stole it. It's been used many times, but it was the first time I heard it. And I was like, wow, I really like that. I wrote it down, and it's just reminded me, even though if I fall off the wagon, even if I'm not doing what I know I need to be doing, I can always start again and make it day one. Some other great mantras: you didn't come this far to only come this far. You get what you focus on. Find an excuse or find a way. Which is it going to be? Excellence does not require perfection. Now, gents, I know you've got some great tips and tricks on how to improve your life this year. I want to hear from you down in the comments. I think it was one of you guys shared with me, Antonio, I go through my phone and every year I get rid of tons of apps that I haven't been using. In addition, the apps that I probably shouldn't be using, I hide them on my phone. Because I know some of you guys like me, I have to get on social media. It's part of my business, but I do hide all those apps. And so I actually have to type them in to find them, like Facebook. Some people have talked to me about unplugging their television. It's a small thing, but when you have to go in and plug it in versus it always being on or just grabbing the remote and being able to turn it on, it can make a big difference. Again, guys, let me hear your best tips and tricks down in the comments below. So, what video to watch next? Well, if you want to learn to start waking up early, I got you covered in this video right here. Yes, I talk about waking up at 5 a.m., the system that worked for me. Nowadays, do I wake up at 5 a.m.? No, I've actually adjusted that to 6 a.m., but this, if you want to wake up at 4 a.m., it will work. So guys, a great video. Check it out right here.